Hi, Pooja, you can start now.
Yes, sure. So, good morning and good evening, one and all present here. I hope you all are eagerly waiting for the networking session. So, thanks a lot for joining with us. Before starting the networking session, we will have a Q&A session of our HKN IEEE Tapanu. So, for the first 15 minutes, we will go with the Q&A, which is followed by networking session. So, audience, if you have any queries our previous session, you can please proceed and you can ask the queries to our speakers. Attendees, if you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the queries to our speakers.
Is there anyone who wants to ask any questions? If not, I would like to ask Michael or Sandra to share some best practices in running HKN chapters, because they wanted to join the panel discussion. We were running out of time. So it would be great if they can share some best practices.
Sure. Sandra, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
I can go. I can go if you want.
Sure.
Okay. Well, this is a really broad question. So there are a lot of things that can be done to run a successful chapter. And obviously, some of these may apply to certain campuses and others may not. So I'll try to give a general answer to the question. So first, you need a group of officers who are prepared and who are willing to work hard, because obviously this is where all the decisions are being made. And if you don't have a clear leadership, members will be confused. That's the first point. Now, moving on, I'd say you need to have engaged students. And by engaged, I mean students who are willing to work hard, them as well. Maybe not as much as officers, obviously, but still. Because if you have officers who have thought of, what to do. Oh, sorry. And all of the activities, but then you don't have people who are willing to follow you, then obviously you go nowhere. So how to engage students? Well, I think chapters can work on social activities, so that you create a group, you do some teamworking activities, so team building, activities, so that you have your group. And when you are in a group of friends, it's not a problem if you have to work hard a little bit more. And then obviously another important point would be, for example, for officers to assign the roles to everyone. Each and everyone needs to do something, because otherwise, people will be left without anything to do. And if something happens, like that happens, people will be disengaged. These are few of the things I can think of. Maybe with a little bit more time, I can think of other points. So I see from the chat, can you brief more about the bridge? Yeah, sure. Well, the bridge is our virtual magazine. Also, Michael and Nancy can say more about this. We have one issue coming out every 4 months. So 3 issues per year. And among all the other topics, we also try to involve students from different chapters so that they can report their experiences. Obviously, depending on the topic, on the main topic that each issue has. But I think Michael and Nancy can say a little bit more about this too.
Sure. So Nancy will probably be the best person to speak to this. Just before we get to that, though, there's some other questions in the chat about the process to create an HKN chapter. And I touched on this briefly in my presentation, but basically it's on the website. As Nancy said, you can send an inquiry to info@hcan.org, which is in the chat. But if you have programs that are accredited by an appropriate regional or national accrediting agency that is a signatory to one of the accords we mentioned, we can likely move forward. But again, Nancy is the expert there, so I will defer to her on that as well as more on the bridge.
Thanks, Michael. So we're certainly going to have a conversation about this, and we can talk about the accreditation. But you do need the support of your department. EduCap is really a relationship between your engineering or computer science department, however your university is organized, and EduCap, because there is an agreement that's made between the two, which is really a great thing, because you really do need the support of the university in order to operate efficiently. So we get that head on, that comes first in the process. The other things that are really critical is a faculty advisor. I mean, Dr. Sapavati is the faculty advisor at her chapter, and she has just done an amazing job. So a strong faculty advisor, I would say, really look for a professor who really is willing to work with you and engage with you. Now, that person doesn't have to be EduCap. You can induct them into EduCap. So don't worry if they're not already EduCap. We can take care of that. And the other thing you need are some students that really want to do some work on this. It is very rewarding work. It's you learn a lot by going through the process of starting a new organization and writing governance documents. So it does give you a lot of unique experience that will help you in your career and the rest of the things that you pursue as a professional. But we'll take you through that process together. And again, staff is here to work with you. Michael chairs the membership and chapter committee. They're also here to work with you. So we do want to, work toward having a great experience of starting a chapter. EduCap chapters actually have an induction ceremony, an installation. So it's really a big deal. We just did one a couple this summer virtually, but we've had the president of the university, the provost, the chancellor, the department chair, everyone really involved in the forming of a chapter. So great way for you to get to meet these really officials of your university, because it's really quite a big deal to form an HKN chapter. So I'm looking forward to hearing from any of you about that, working with you through that process. Again, we'll make sure you're trained up and ready to go. And we do a lot of coaching with our chapters. Michael and I do a lot of coaching with chapters.
Absolutely. And back to the earlier question as well, as far as best practices, Sandra really did a fantastic job in outlining that there's no one answer to this, right? Because every chapter is a little different, and what works for one chapter especially well might not work as well for different chapters. So we try to provide as much broad support as possible, and specific support too. But fundamentally, for an HKN chapter, like Nancy mentioned, it really is a partnership between the school, the faculty, the administration, and the students. So best practices are those that help bring people together, that provide community, that provide honestly are enjoyable, right? You're not going to want to do something that is not fun or doesn't have a positive outcome in the end, right? So HKN chapters, much like many other organizations and societies, are set up such that there's ownership. We teach there's leadership development through a variety of officer roles, chair or director roles, project lead roles. Different chapters do things a little bit differently, but there are ways to gain leadership and management training, to learn about marketing, certainly technical experiences. Sandra mentioned the professional development skills as well as the technical skills. But then add to that, everyone that's involved, being offered an induction into Eta Kappa Nu is an honor, right? We're an honor society. It's an honor. It's a recognition of achievement. But to stay involved, that's something you have to find value and joy in. So a best practice is something that certainly helps increase the joy and benefits others in the society, in the chapter, in your community.
Great, great. I have one doubt to ask is that, we have different societies in IEEE. So what HKN is different? How different it is?
Sure. So
Yeah.
great question. And, to my fellow board members, and Nancy, please jump in on this. Eta Kappa Nu differs from, we're similar to the rest of IEEE in many ways, and also different from the rest of IEEE in many ways. I think it's a good way to put it. So we not just like the fellows program, you have to be invited to induct, and there are academic restrictions. For example, for students, you have to be in the upper fifth or quarter of your cohort, depending on your year in school. And even if you qualify academically, you still have to, there's demonstrated character, the attitude, and other pieces. While the technical societies span all of the IEEE fields of interest, in fact, they define them, and they do things with a specific technology area. HKN, as the Honor Society of the IEEE, and even before that as a standalone organization, we span the profession. So our technical interests aren't limited to a single technical society's area. And different chapters, let's say, might work with different local companies or with obviously the members of the faculty at their institution. They might have more insight and more programs, let's say, with certain technology areas rather than others. So we're broad in that sense. And then outside of TAB or the technical areas, our focus is truly on service, right? We demonstrate exemplary character and an attitude through service, our commitment to give back in our universities, in our departments, in our community. And it's that mix of the humanitarian aspect, the service, the founding principles, and then also the composition of the top tier of our academic programs that really helps define the society's special sauce. But Ed or Nancy or Sandra will happily defer to you all as well.
Yeah, one thing I would like to point out as well. Yeah, I believe like for the HKN chapter, because it is not under MGA, right? So I mean technically it like for the section, sometimes they don't know about it, but I believe that when we start the chapter, it was of course at the university, and then when we start doing activity, then like the IEEE Thailand section also recognize us, and because also we got an award, so it's mean now we also part of Thailand section. So when we have a certain activity, so we section will also help subsidize the activity that we go out and do. Yeah, so I believe that this is also like if you start the HKN chapter, so we also have to work with our section, our parent section as well, not only like our university. Yeah, so I think this is also like important. Yeah.
Let me talk about something that's unique to Etta Kappa Nu. And one of the things that's unique to Etta Kappa Nu is what Michael talked about is the invitation. So the invitation to join is quite unique. So that actually comes from the department. The chapter does work with the department to identify the students who qualify. Once a student's identified and invited to join, there are other criteria and there's other work to prove that someone's going to be active, to work together to make sure that it's a good fit. So again, even just qualifying doesn't mean that you're going to join. So again, there's actually the proof of the activity and the proof of the involvement before you induct. Induction is the other thing that's very unique to Etta Kappa Nu. We actually have a ritual. So it's an honor society thing. So I know this is different outside of the US. It's unfamiliar, but there actually is, even if you do all the other things, one must attend a ceremony and take the pledge and understand the meaning and the history of Etta Kappa Nu in order to become a member. So you saw many pictures of the chapters shared of their induction ceremony. So every time a new member is welcomed into Etta Kappa Nu, into each of these chapters, there is an induction ceremony that's held. Now, I talk to members all the time. I talk to members who were inducted in 1956, 1975, 1984, 2001. And most talk about their induction ritual, what it was like. I mean, I can talk about mine, what it is like to actually take the pledge and to really commit yourself, make a commitment. So there's many things you have to do to belong, and then show your engagement. So again, there's more of an expectation of engagement with the chapter. And if you can't make that commitment, people don't join, even if they qualify scholastically. So there really is the level of commitment and engagement and what that means to induct is really important. And when a chapter is formed, a new chapter, and all of you who have chapters can talk about this, the installation of a new chapter is a big deal. And it really is with the university. It's really it's a great celebration. And chapters are chartered. They receive a charter document. I go into universities often, and I see the charter documents on the walls. It's quite an accomplishment. So again, I think this stays with people. I know I've talked to 80-year-old gentlemen and 50-year-old women and who just talk about Etta Kappa Nu and what it meant to them as a young person to be tapped on the shoulder, to be talked to how they really are high achieving, how it gave them confidence, how it provided them abilities to do other things, how it really engaged them in a community in a way they might not have if they just simply joined and never engaged with the organization. So I think the engagement level of Etta Kappa Nu is so much higher. And it really is it's like winning an award as a young person. And we know that the secret sauce, the thing is that we're developing the leaders of tomorrow. You saw this in the pictures that Michael showed of our industry leaders, of our IEEE leaders. When I look around IEEE, when I meet people often, I talk to very distinguished people. Very often they're Etta Kappa Nu. And so the formula proves out. As scientists, there's a formula, and we talk about that in Etta Kappa Nu with the Wheatstone Bridge, which is our emblem. Michael's got it on his shirt. You can see it. Mine is the crest. So the Wheatstone Bridge, which we know is a precision instrument, we know that if the three things are developed, scholarship, attitude, character, we know on the Wheatstone Bridge, you can figure out the fourth side, right? What that is, and that's success. So we know this is a formula for success. And that's why we think it's so engaging and involving. And I meet so many tremendous young people. You met some of them here that are just doing great things in their community. So I think that's some of the secret sauce of Etta Kappa Nu, that it's very meaningful.
Absolutely. There's a question as well about, is it necessary to become an HCAN member through an Etta Kappa Nu chapter? The answer is no, but yes. So we induct students and professionals, and our chapters, as Ed mentioned early on, are the primary organ of HKN, right? They're the ones that do, host the events, certainly induct people, et cetera, et cetera. If you're a professional, there's an ADA chapter, which is the chapter of the Board of Governors, and there's a process listed on our website, hcan.org, where if you qualify for that, you could, there's an opportunity to be inducted into the ADA chapter, which the Board of Governors would handle, not an individual chapter. That said, again, like Nancy said, the engagement is tremendously high. Those certainly, like with anyone, not all, remain engaged, and there's certainly that affinity back for their home chapter. So if possible, I'd say certainly look at induction with a chapter, but if that's not available, certainly if you're a professional, then professional induction, if you meet the criteria there, are available. And again, if you don't have a chapter local to you, then we can look to start one. And hopefully there's an institution that meets the criteria that we can look to bring a chapter to your corner of the world. And just one other thing to note too, we didn't mention, I don't think any of us mentioned it earlier, but unlike other parts of the IEEE, while this isn't our special sauce, this is a distinguishing characteristic. Once you're inducted into Eta Kappa Nu, you're Eta Kappa Nu for life. There's a single induction fee that's paid once, and then there are no fees through the parent, as I would say, or big HKN ever after that. You get the bridge for life. It's a designation. It's a membership in the Honor Society. So that's also something a little bit different as well.
Great, great. We are getting one question from Talha Salim. Talha, are you here? Would you like to voice out the question? If you're here, please unmute. Okay, I'll read it out. So I'm a graduate student member from University of Faisalabad, Lahore. I want to start HKN chapter in my student branch. I want to know about how many members are required to start a HKN chapter.
Sure. So again, it wouldn't be starting a chapter in a student branch. It would be at the university, right? The chapters are separate from the student branches, but we required a minimum 8 students that qualify that would meet our criteria for induction. And as Nancy mentioned, it's a partnership with the faculty and the administration. So the faculty at that institution then would attest, basically sign a letter saying that these students, undergraduate students, graduate students, whatever it might be, are all qualified or worthy to be inducted into Eta Kappa Nu. Like Nancy said, when the chapter is installed, the installation takes 2 parts. The first part is the formal granting of a charter, while the second part is actually the induction of the inaugural members, the founding members. So definitely, the short answer is 8, but it's a slightly more complicated than that.
All right, we have one more question from Talha as well. One more thing, if any university has no student branch, can we formulate a HKN chapter?
Absolutely, yes. HKN chapters are separate from student branches, so you don't need one to make the other. There are universities where there's a student branch and no HKN chapter. There are others where there's an HKN chapter and no student branch. That's okay. Obviously, it'd be great if there were both, but sorry. Sandra had a visitor there. That's fantastic. That's very cool. It'd be great if there were both, but no, you can form an HKN chapter wherever. Again, permission, conditions permitting.
Right.
Don't need it.
But Michael, right, the great thing is that upon joining, all Eta Kappa Nu students are IEEE students. So for your regions and sections, all of them are Eta Kappa Nu students. I mean, IEEE students. So they technically are part of your branch as well, although sometimes they operate separately. Now, and again, we strongly encourage our chapters and our student branches to work closely together. You can do almost everything together if there's things that you want to cooperate on, or you can do things separately. Most chapters do some things together. Of course, the officers are elected from the Eta Kappa Nu, those that qualify for Eta Kappa Nu, but in a lot of ways you can operate side by side. Some universities, some departments do this very successfully. it really is an individual consideration. But the chapter must be formed in the university. You have to be a matriculating student to qualify. And we really strongly work with graduate students and PhD students as well, a strong group of graduate students, because again, this is, or one's wanting to go to graduate school, because this is a high bar and a criteria, something especially U.S. Universities look for. They look for the Eta Kappa Nu seal of approval, if you would, when they're looking at candidates for their graduate programs.
Great. I think Prof. Supawadi.
Yeah, I have to leave now for other things. It has been great. I've been moderating the session, and Nancy, Ed, Michael, Sandro, and everyone. Yeah, this is such a great session. I hope we have more of this session in region 10 and also other region, and it's a good reach out. Yeah.
Thanks, Prof.
So
Thank you so
I'll
much.
be in touch, and yeah, let's connect again. Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. We have
Yes.
a couple more questions
Yes.
in the chat.
Yes.
So,
A lot.
oh, go ahead.
So one question, why is academic excellence necessary to be a member of HKN?
Who wants to take that?
You want to take that, Michael? Or you want me to?
Sure. Either way. Yeah, I've talked a lot. Nancy, go ahead.
So again, because it's an honor society, this is the tradition. The tradition is that you have distinguished yourself in your scholastic work. And so this is one of the basic tenets of any honor society that exists worldwide. So scholarship is one of the criteria. Again, like we said, not the only one, but one of the criteria. And we know there's some great students, there's some great future leaders out there that don't have sometimes don't qualify in the academic sense. But remember, Eta Kappa Nu is about doing things for others, not necessarily doing things for yourself. So Eta Kappa Nu really isn't internally focused as much as it's externally focused. So even if you're not a part of the Eta Kappa Nu chapter, let's just say, doesn't mean you can't do things with the Eta Kappa Nu chapter. It doesn't mean the Eta Kappa Nu chapter and members don't reach out within their communities. This really is, like I said, about what you give, not about what you get. So remember, this is just someone who has worked very hard. You don't get at that level of your class. You don't reach that scholastic level unless you've really worked for it. Eta Kappa Nu is that. It's earned, never given. It is always the result of very hard work. And that being said, that's why even so graduate students all qualify by virtue of the fact that you're in a graduate program. Once you've completed one term, graduate students all qualify. So if you didn't qualify as an undergraduate, you will qualify as a graduate student. That's the other good news. And then there is a pathway to professional membership once you have graduated and you have had some accomplishments within your professional life. So there are other ways to become Eta Kappa Nu if you didn't qualify under the academic criteria. Now, we also know that outside of the United States, academic criteria within your university system is different. So when we go through the onboarding process of a chapter, we look at your academic system in order to create criteria that meets the spirit and the meaning of scholastic achievement. And we work that out with you and your university and the department as we form the chapter. So there's a lot of good news within there. And I realize it's tough sometimes. Not everybody can join. Not everyone gets an invitation, but this is truly something that is earned. And you strive for Eta Kappa Nu. I know our chapters often work with, first and second year students, because students really want to make this level of accomplishment. They work hard to get there. And so this is the way they get recognized for all of that hard work.
Absolutely. One of the other questions in the chat asks, let me see, if along those lines, so not only do chapters reach out to first and second year students, but also to younger students too, in primary school and high school as well. And then there's the question about graduate school students and do HKN chapters provide job opportunities through network to graduate students? And it's not just graduate students, it's actually all members. We have a relatively new on our website, hcan.org, ADA Society job board. We have, as part of the Ada Kappa New experience coming up in 6 weeks, for HCAN members of all types, alumni as well, a career fair as well as a grad school fair. So absolutely, and different chapters as well. Different chapters do a variety of things to network their members with different companies, industries, etc. So absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Sandra,
We
do you want
get
to add?
high level of interest from companies, industry to go and talk to Ada Kappa New chapters. And we see this as a practice in most of our chapters. They, corporations, industry seeks out Ada Kappa New students and chapters because they know they've met, a certain level of criteria, high bar, if you would, of accomplishment. So, Sandra, I know your chapter's done this quite a bit too.
Yeah, in my experience, about the do HCAN chapters collaborate with other associations? I think it is when HKN collaborates with others that it thrives. Because I can think of a lot of different events we in Turin, but this also applies to many other chapters too, that we had in collaboration with other associations. And this expands our network. This expands the opportunity for our members, and we get to know people from industry. We get to know professors. Sometimes they are not able to deliver to the students what they do in their research activity. So it happened many times that professors came to our chapter and told us, this is what we do. We're looking for people. And the same happens with industry. Many times I've talked with people who told me, are there anyone in your chapter who's interested in doing an internship or whatever? This is the strength of our network.
And I know that our faculty advisors tell me, I talk to them often, that their industry connections, people usually call them and they have open positions and saying, oh, who you're graduating this year that are really your best candidates, and they bring forth the Ada Kappa New students because they really have distinguished themselves in so many ways. So that industry engagement has always been a part of Ada Kappa Nu since the beginning. One of the reasons Ada Kappa Nu was formed back in 1904, and it's always been a strong component. People here, we refer to something called alumni, which is kind of a concept of once you've graduated from a university, you're an alumnus. We use this term in Ada Kappa Nu just to say someone who's no longer a student, because you are a lifelong member of Ada Kappa Nu. So we call them our alumni, but they are just as you are, as I am, and anyone who's Ada Kappa Nu is Ada Kappa Nu. You're always Ada Kappa Nu, but we just use that term to delineate between a current student and someone who's, out of university. So, and the alumni really look to help others, because that's sort of what they were inducted to do, right? And that's what they promised to do with their induction, was to help others. So there is the real spirit of reaching back, helping people in their own chapters, or making sure that they elevate other Ada Kappa Nu students along the way. Real commitment to that. It's part of the DNA.
Great. We are having a lot of questions, by the way. So one interesting one is that, can the chapter be formed at the institution level rather than a university level? So something within the university.
Well, I guess that depends. It's at a degree granting organization.
For example, in university, there are departments. So in a department level, institution level, so within the umbrella of the university, there are different institutions. That's what they mean.
I would say, as long as they're a degree granting. So this is, if you have students that you grant degrees, a bachelor level degree or higher, not a 2-year, but the 4-year degree or higher in one of our disciplines, that most likely would qualify. We could look at that with you, but it would most likely qualify.
Great. Another interesting question is, can a section be eligible to form a HKN?
No, unfortunately, no. This is not available at the section. because remember, the university helps determine the ranking of the student. So as there's no such program within a section to do that. So that's why the HKN chapter is formed with the department, because again, the department has helps determine the eligibility. So there's no way to do that within the section. But we do have the pathway to professional members. So if you are a professional member and there's an equivalency of your 10 years of experience in the industry, there's a pathway to professional membership.
Right. So in other words, like if we are interested, just the university need to approach HKN board. Am I getting it right?
So yes, so someone on behalf of the university. So you could be a student who goes and talks to your department chair or equivalent. You could talk to a professor, to your professor, and discuss this and come forth. So once you have some interest, and I would just determine some basic level of interest, then we do an inquiry back to us, and we would start to work with you on getting all the things together that you need to do to make a formal petition to the board. But the first role is to make an inquiry to Etiquette New. There's an inquiry form on our website for you to fill out, or you can just, as Michael said, you can just send it to info@hkn.org. And certainly please contact me. The HKN website has a lot of this information on it, but we're certainly, I'm always happy to talk to anyone interested in Etiquette New. So.
Right. Great. Thanks a lot to all our speakers. It was very interesting. I wish we can discuss more, but yeah, we are running out of time. Pooja, are you here? Pooja has something interesting for us. Pooja?
Yes, I'm there actually. Thank you so much all for the wonderful Q&A session. So now let's start with the networking session. Okay, so before we start, I just want to quote something. Networking is not just about connecting with people. It's all about connecting with people, people with ideas, and people with opportunities. So let me just tell you all why networking is important. Having a well established network has become an important part of our life. The easiest way to expand our network is to build a relationship with people. We all have the thing we're passionate about and special skills and interests. Volunteering is another way to meet with people and broaden your network. There are always ways to connect with people, with individuals in your professional organization, and it could prove to be a great resource for your advancing career. So, with this note, let me introduce myself. This is Pooja Sharma, currently working as a component engineer at Flux Private Limited, India. I am the secretary of IEEE SS12 as well as the co-chair of Innovation Challenge track of SS12. I am also the executive member of IEEE Madras Section Young Professionals and also the initiative lead of IEEE Computer Society Job Fair India. I have also been the recipient of Richard M. Evans Scholarship, Grasshopper Scholarship, and Google and Udacity Scholarship. So this is a short intro about myself. Now I would request Ellen, who is the co-lead for networking session, to introduce about herself. Over to you, Ellen.
Good day, everyone. My name is Eileen Sabao. I'm from the Republic of the Philippines section. I am currently taking up electronics engineering from Mapua University, and I am also the current branch chairperson of the Mapua University Student Branch, one of the most active student branch from the Philippines. So, for this networking session, what we will be doing is brain challenge. So let me explain the mechanics of the game. First, the delegates, along with the speakers and participants, can participate in the brain challenge activity. Questions will be presented, and the participants are given 40 seconds to answer the question. First, to answer the question correctly will be given the point. To answer the question, participants need to raise their hand to be picked. Can we try that for the participants? Pooja, can you check if they can try to raise their hands?
Participants, do you have access to raise the hand?
Yes, I see Margia Lipion raised her hands. Yes, Margia, you can talk.
Thank you for the trial. And again, after you raise your hand, We will then unmute the specific person, and then he or she must introduce themselves and give a funny fact about him or her. For the sake of the networking session, while you introduce yourself, you can also add your Facebook profile and your LinkedIn accounts. For those who won't be able to speak, you can put your LinkedIn accounts and Facebook accounts through the chat box. After introduction, you will need to answer the question with brief explanation. The person who answers correctly will then be given 100 points. Can we start now, Pooja?
Yes, we can start. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first question is, on her 25th birthday, a woman living in Washington died of old age. How is this possible? You will be given 40 seconds. So if you know the answer, please raise your hand.
We have 4 raised hands. Shrikant.
Savitya, I think I don't have access to view the hand. So
Yes, Dr. Shrikant.
okay.
Yes, you can speak, Dr. Shrikant. Okay, I think Sandro raises his hand. Sandro.
So, do I first start by saying something fun or about me?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me think. Let me think. Um, ooh. Well, I think. Well, before entering HKN, I think I didn't feel so much confident with talking to a large public, but I think that I was able to overcome this by practicing and obviously doing some mistakes too. But yeah, I think this is the thing I would like to say in that regard. Also, do I have to share my Facebook and LinkedIn account if I understood correctly here?
If you want, PS for the sake of networking.
Okay, I can do that in no time. And the answer to that question is she was born on the 29th of February, I think.
Yes, that's right.
Correct.
Oh,
So
Sandro got it.
yes, so you are given with 100 points.
Thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. So the next question is, how is 8 plus 8 is equal to 4?
All right, we have Maisha. Maisha.
I was
Maisha,
I
yep.
was raising for the last question.
All right, okay. So no one raised hands for this question.
You're given 40 seconds, guys.
Yes, you can think about it.
Okay, we have Mitushin. Mitushin, yep.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just to start the fun fact, I'm currently bedridden because I kind of tried to jump off a ledge, but don't ask that.
We hope you feel fine
So
soon.
the answer, uh, so to answer the question, probably just correct. I probably might be wrong, but 8 a.m. plus 8 hours comes to 16, so that p.m.
uh, but our question is like 8 plus 8 can also be 4. So, can you explain like how it can be 4? This is somewhat a critical thinking question.
That's the answer I had. I came across this question.
Okay, Dimple has raised hand. Yes, Dimple. Dimple?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
So the answer is, I mean, it's not possible mathematically, but when it comes to clock, then it'll be 8 a.m. plus 8 hours, that is 16:00 hours, which is equivalent to 4 p.m. So that figure can be 4.
Yes, you're right. So you're given with 100 points.
Oh, Dimple.
I didn't know that the organizing committee is also supposed to participate. Thank you so much. I thought it will be an invalid answer.
It's for all. It's for the delegates, speakers, organizing committee, volunteers, and for all. Question, please.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
What is represented by the following? Yeah. So can someone tell us like what is being represented over here?
Talha Salim? Yes. Yes, Talha. Shreyan is raising hands. Would you like to try?
Yeah. My best guess is I think it's right. Like if you follow every third letter of each word, then it comes down to needle, right?
Correct.
I think yeah. Okay.
Yes, you're correct, Shreyan. So can you just complete the answer if you could?
Yes. Like I said, yeah. I'm just repeating. If you take every third letter of each word, and you move downwards, then it comes to needle, right? CNEEDLE.
Yes. Ellen?
Hello.
Can you complete the answer after you have the needle?
Hello.
Okay, we have Kundan trying it. Kundan wants to try it. Let me
Yeah,
give. Yes, Kundan.
hay.
Yes, Kundan.
Yeah, it's a needle in the hay. Like every line H A midword is hidden.
Yes, you're correct. Your answer is 100% correct. Yeah, so you will be given with 100 points. Okay. Okay, so the next question is, what are the next three letters of the following series? So you will be given 40 seconds. You can just think about the answer and you can raise your hand.
Pooja, we'll take this as the last one. I think the speakers need to leave as well. Let's get the last one.
Okay, like we have still more interesting questions. We can take one more if possible.
Okay, one more.
40 seconds has passed. Is there anyone who wants to answer?
We have Sandra wants to answer. Sandra?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the three remaining letters are T, F, S. These are the initial of every word in the question.
Yes, you're correct. So this is the first letter of all the words which we are asked the question. So next question. a number is less than 100, when reversed, the number increases by 1/5 of the original number. Find the number.
I think Mitushan, you want to answer?
Oh, sorry. Is the answer 45?
Yes. We could see even Venkat Gautam has answered because he doesn't have access for raising hand.
Okay.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah, I am Shantaram.
Okay, so shall we end up the networking session, Savitya, or can we continue?
I think we can end because our speakers need to leave as well. It's not convenient for them. So let we get our speakers say some words to conclude. Do we have Nancy with us? Is Nancy left, is it? Okay, so we have Dr. Ed with us. Dr. Ed, would you like to say something? We are going to end the session.
I'd like to say that I thought this was a really good session. I think I was very surprised and encouraged by all the questions that came up in the networking part of this. The first session was good, but in the networking one, there were a lot of good questions and a lot of good things posed to us. And I think it's clear that we, ADCAP, would have to do some homework on how to position ourselves better to be able to address these things and help some of the people who are asking questions. So we have answers, but we need to do a better job of a good way to present the answers. And the best way to do that is to contact us, contact Nancy Olson with their email addresses. I think this networking session went really well. I was really, really encouraged by how many people attended. There was like 45 people. I'm encouraged by all the questions that people asked. And overall, I think it was very, very, very excellent session that we had today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ed, for joining with us, and we look forward to listening to your talks in future as well. I think Michael as well had left, right, Sandro? So we have Sandro with us. Yes, Sandro, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would simply like to say that I really appreciated the engagement, the questions, as Ed said before. It's good to see a lot of people who are involved and who want to know more about HKN. And I would like to tell everyone who's present here, feel free to reach to me or any of as HKN members if you want to know more, and obviously for collaborations, even if you're not part of HKN, we can cooperate. So I think I left my, you can find my Facebook and LinkedIn accounts in the chat. Feel free to reach to me anytime.
Thanks a lot, Sandro. Thank you so much. Do we have our panelist here? Kundan Kumar, are you here?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
Kundan.
you, thank you, everyone. Like it was amazing session and enjoyed really. I get to know a lot about best practices and global board teams and how we align our views with different community. And it's good to see like around 50 people have participated. If you have any queries regarding HKN or other IEEE, how can we network together and build? You can reach out to me. I've shared all my LinkedIn ID. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Kundan. And Charisma, are you here? Charisma, could you hear us? I can. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for organizing this student track. And this session is very useful for students. And yeah, please keep it up in this way. And yeah, thank you for having me also.
Thank you so much, Charisma. I think all of other speakers have left. Yes, Pooja, you want to say something? I see the scoreboard.
Yes. Yes. So the winner of the networking session is Sandro.
All right. So shall we take a group photo and conclude our session? Can all on your cameras?
Yes.
Can everyone on your cameras? Pooja, let me know if you are ready. You are in mute, Pooja. Can't hear.
Yeah, I could see people. Yeah. Yes. Just. Yes. Yes, Savitya, I have taken the group picture of everyone.
Okay, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. Then tomorrow we have a very interesting topic at 1 p.m. Bangkok time. So hope to see you all there. And I think the leaderboard is updated already. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, hello, anyone? Can you respond? Hello.